started as a fairy tale. Kim Kardashian, the glamorous mogul, the public persona of power and polish. Kanye West, the creative titan, the musical genius. Two names that spark headlines. They tied the knot in 2014, a ceremony in Florence that glowed under the spotlight. The world watched. They had 4 children, but behind that extravagant image, something very human was happening. Kim is now speaking out. In the premiere of the new season of The Kardashians, she reveals a terrifying diagnosis, a small brain aneurysm. She says the culprit wasn't just biology. What this really stems from is the stress of life with Kanye and then the stress of separating from him. She links it directly to the months and years of tension, of co-parenting amid chaos, of trying to protect her children and protect her sanity. What this really means is Kim lived a pressure cooker. Public marriage, public breakup, a man whose behavior raised eyebrows, whose mental health struggles and public outbursts carved cracks in private life. She tells us she felt more stressed, probably just because I had to super protect what I had to protect. She says she hadn't had psoriasis since after the divorce. It returned, a physical symptom of something deeper. Here's the thing. She said she had a little aneurysm. Doctors told her, just stress. And when someone like Kim, successful, powerful, surrounded by all the trappings of fame, is hearing that, we have to listen. Because stress isn't trivial. It accumulates. It breaks down defenses. For her, the backbone of the story is not only the health scare, but the partner who may have caused a significant part of that stress. Let's dig into the timeline. Married in 2014, 4 kids, the public brightness, albums, fashion, brands, the private darkness, Kanye's erratic behavior, mental health crisis, tweets, rants. In multiple reports, the marriage had reached a point where Kim feared his stability was not enough to handle a breakup. She stayed longer than she could comfortably endure to try and protect what she valued. Then, in 2021, they separated. Divorce finalized in 2022. But the story didn't end there. Because with 4 children and with sibling and parental ties, the aftermath is still alive. Kim detailed in court documents that Kanye's public posts about their family matters caused emotional distress. She wrote that, Kanye has been putting a lot of misinformation regarding our private family matters and co-parenting on social media, which has created emotional distress. What we see is, the wounds left behind weren't just the end of their romantic relationship, they were the ongoing, living consequences of being intertwined in work, parenting, and public spectacle. And here comes the anchor. Kim now accuses Kanye of causing her pain and mental stress. That's heavy. It's not just saying our marriage didn't work, it's saying because of the way this unfolded, and because of how you handled it, I suffered physically and emotionally. In her words, she has described feeling something like Stockholm syndrome during the marriage. She says she always felt really bad and always protected and always wanted to help him. She said this was the first time she didn't feel responsible. That's the turning point. This narrative has every element of a drama: wealth and fame, mental health, betrayal, health consequences, kids caught in the middle. For a viewer or listener, the stakes are enormous. For Kim herself, they're deeply personal. Let's step into Kim's shoes for a moment. On any given day, she's balancing children, brands, cameras, legal documents, public perception. Now add the relentless background noise. Social media storms, ex-partner outbursts, co-parenting disagreements played out online. She wakes up and wonders, what's going to happen today? Will another headline drop? Will another post trigger something? She says, who knows what's going to happen today? Who knows what he's going to say? She didn't walk away and close the door. She still has 4 children with the same man. She can't pretend the relationship vanished. That lingering connection is a source of pressure, of unresolved conflict. And so, the aneurysm, a fragile blood vessel, a medical condition that can lay dormant unless stress, trauma, pressure push it to define themselves. The doctors say, brain aneurysms are balloonings of vessels in the brain. They are common but serious if they rupture. Kim connects the dots. The diagnosis, the flare-up of psoriasis, the years of emotional weight she carried, the need to protect her children from what she calls that behavior. What this lawsuit-style drama means is, Kim isn't just reflecting, she's pointing a finger. She's saying, you caused part of the fallout. You made me sick. You dragged this out. You didn't respect our agreement. You made me carry more than my share. In court papers in 2022, she claimed that Kanye's social media posts were creating emotional distress and asked the judge to finalize their divorce so she could begin the healing process. Let's lay out the core themes here. Theme 1. Power versus vulnerability. On the surface, Kim had power, a brand, a global image, but internally, she felt powerless to force change in the marriage, to protect her kids fully, to control the narrative. The privates of a high-profile marriage often lie behind the public gleam. Theme 2. Mental health and responsibility. Kanye's mental health issues are well documented. Kim says she did her best to stay supportive. She says she felt guilty. She says she helps. But at some point she had to protect herself. That shift from helper to self-defender is pivotal. Theme 3. The fallout of divorce when children are involved. Divorce isn't just two individuals separating, it's a reconfiguration of entire families, identities, daily routines. For Kim, her children's well-being becomes central. They're going to know things. They're going to grow up and see. She is conscious of legacy, of memory, of what her kids will carry forward. Theme 4. Physical reaction to emotional trauma. Stress equals health. It might sound overused, but Kim's story gives it a face. A brain aneurysm, psoriasis, endless worry. The mind-body connection is glaring. She said the aneurysm was just stress. Doctors may debate it, but she feels it. That feeling matters. So now the script. Kim sits in the MRI machine. The technologist calls her name. She hears the beep. The screen lights up. She watches the images. A small bulge, a ballooning of a vessel. Her heart skips. She thinks, how did I get here? The voiceover. Waking up to find your body betraying you is a shot you don't expect. She remembers the early days. Flashes of love, the wedding in Florence, the red carpet moments. But then, the whispers in the hallway. The tweets, the calls at 3 a.m. The force of living life under microscope. She remembers trying to make it work. For him, for the kids, for the brand. She says she silently hoped that if she loved enough, if she protected enough, if she stayed long enough, maybe things would shift. But the shift never came. On that day, she hears the words, "This is all has to do with the stress of divorcing Kanye and continuing to live with Kanye because we have kids together." She feels the weight collapse onto her chest. She wonders if the public's assumption is right, that she could just walk away, that she has the luxury of freedom. She says, "People think I have the luxury of walking away, but the thing is, she doesn't. She still shows up for the kids. She still carries the narrative. She still answers for the public version of her life." The diagnosis becomes a metaphor. The ballooning vessel in her brain equals the ballooning tension in the marriage, the unchecked stress, the self-denial, the trying to be the fixer, the trying to love through the cracks, the trying to endure the chaos so her children didn't have to. She says she always felt responsible, always felt guilty, should have stuck it out, could have helped. Then she says, for the first time, she doesn't feel that responsibility. That is the moment of awakening. And then the battle moves into the public domain. She files documents. She claims emotional distress. She demands to be free. She wants the divorce finalized so healing can begin. She contends his refusal to keep private their family matters, his public posts, caused harm. The cameras roll, the TV show edits show vulnerable moments. The world watches a star break. In the backdrop, there's the children. North, Saint, Chicago, Psalm. They still call Kanye dad. He still is influential. She still must co-parent. That means the trauma isn't isolated. It's ongoing. She says, "My job as a mom is to just make sure that they are protected from the behavior." She is carving out a new identity, not just wife or ex-wife, but protector, survivor, mother, healer. Let's consider the public reaction. Some might say, it's just another celebrity-spilt story. Others will recognize, this is real trauma in a gilded cage. When you remove the wrappers, the designer dresses, the paparazzi, the Instagram likes, you find two people, flawed and human, with 4 children caught between them. One of those people is now saying, "My life became unsafe for me. My body gave me a warning. I stood up for you, and now I'm standing for me." We ask, what does Kanye say? He still has a voice. He has rants. He has narrative. He has followers. And Kim is saying you didn't respect our agreement to mediate privately. You went public. You didn't reach out to your kids for months. Because of that, I was under siege. This is more than heartbreak. This is a battle for truth, for narrative control, for justice in some personal sense. So when the cameras pan back to Kim, the voiceover asks, what does she want? Closure? recognition, relief, a world to see that she wasn't just strong by default, she was strong because she had to be. She wants it known, I was under strain. The flashbulbs didn't show the fractures. The contracts didn't hide the cracks. The kids didn't deserve the chaos, and neither did I. Let's not sugarcoat. There's no villain and hero neatly in place. Kanye has his issues, his talents, his demons. Kim has her empire, her strength, her voice. But in this story, Kim is refusing to stay silent. She is refusing the narrative that she's simply rich and fine. She says, rich and fine? Number. I'm healing. I'm recovering. I'm protecting. I'm living. And so here's the climax. Kim sits at the table with her sister. She bursts into tears. She says, last night I was like, why the fuck is this happening? That's the moment of rupture. The private becomes public. The facade cracks. She realizes, maybe I saved you too many times. Maybe I protected you too much. Maybe I ignored myself too long. And now, I'm done ignoring. In the final act, we move to the courtroom of public opinion. Kim wants recognition of the emotional and physical toll. She wants the story to be honest. She wants people to understand. When you live in his world, you live in front of millions. But behind the glitz, the pain is still human. She's saying, I have a body, I have a brain, I have kids, I have limits. You pushed me to a breaking point. And I'm telling you now, I'm not the broken one. You helped make me this way. So, let's pull back and reflect. This isn't just gossip. It's a case study in what happens when fame, relationships, mental health, co-parenting, and identity collide. Kim's story is a warning. It's a confession. It's a declaration. She says she felt the syndrome of loving someone who couldn't save themselves, of staying for too long, of excusing behavior because of love and power and image. She now says, the love ended. The protection is ongoing. The healing is beginning. Here's how I'd leave you. Kim has said she's ready for whatever comes next. She has the brand, she has the voice, she has the children, but she also has scars. She has an aneurysm diagnosis. She has a relapse of psoriasis. She has the emotional residue of years under pressure. She says, I'm going to protect my kids and protect myself, and I'm holding you accountable. So what's next? For Kanye, for Kim, for the kids, for the public, there will be interviews. There will be commentary. There will be backlash. But whether you love her or hate her, you can't ignore the story. She isn't asking for pity. She's asking for acknowledgement. She's asking for the narrative to be truthful. She's asking for her children to grow up seeing their mother stood up for herself. And that, ultimately, is the core of the controversy. The woman who built empires and images now says, I was destroyed in silence. I was endangered by the man I loved. I was made ill by the life we built. And I'm suing reality. Not only in docu-reveal, not only in headlines, but in how I live from now on. When the final credits roll, the camera lingers on Kim's face. Steady, resolved. The voiceover whispers, a marriage ended. A diagnosis revealed. A mother risen, and a world watching end.